Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got more college basketball best bets here for January 24th here on this college basketball Friday. And yesterday wasn't good. It wasn't horrible. Like we've had worse days. We've had much better days though. So again, I appreciate you guys sticking with the channel. You can get your comments out the way. Yeah, yesterday was bad. But again, what can you do about it? It's in the past. We got to look forward, and we got some more plays for today. We got 5 more best bets. Again, not a great day yesterday, not a good day, but not a horrible day. It could have been worse. Shout out to Santa Clara taking care of business at the end of the night against Wazoo. The other ones, it is what it is. But again, we've got a better day coming up today. I can feel it. We're progressively building back up, and today's the day. Today's the day. We have a dominant day. Let's hope. And folks, if you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Again, that's all I ask for y'all to do here on the channel is hit that subscribe button down below for more. And also, make sure to leave a like if you want 10 best bets tomorrow for this college basketball Saturday. Tomorrow, obviously, a very big slate on Saturday every single week. So you know the drill. We've done it the last couple weeks, and we've hit the 100 like threshold. If we get 100 likes on this video today, we'll do 10 best bets tomorrow for college basketball Saturday. So again, that's all we got to do. 100 likes, and make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more college basketball best bets. There is some NBA today. There's only 3 games in the National Basketball Association, but there are games. So every single day, again, we predict every NBA game. So make sure to check that video out. That's going to be coming up in a couple hours here on the channel. And also make sure to check out our PFL Dubai predictions with Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes in the main event for the Professional Fighters League. It's Dagestan versus Ireland 2. So make sure to check that video out. Link is in the description down below. Also later today, we're going to post our NFL Conference Championship games predictions. Obviously, Commanders, Eagles in the NFC, and Chiefs and Bills once more in the AFC. All right, let's get into the first of our 5 best bets for college basketball today. Not a huge slate, so we got to make the most of what we have, but there's some opportunities here. We're going to start with Villanova and Marquette. I like Marquette a lot here in this spot. Marquette's been one of the best teams in the Big East all season, if not the best team in the Big East all year. Yes, better than UConn, because UConn has struggled a little bit, obviously. UConn's still very good, but obviously, last couple games hasn't been too great for the Huskies. Marquette, though, a 7-1 team in the Big East this season. Their only loss being to Xavier at home, which isn't great, I'm not going to lie. But it's not like Villanova is playing all that hot right now. That's really more what this pick is. It is, yes, the capability of Marquette, and Marquette can go off, and they can blow you out. But on top of that, it is the way Villanova's been playing recently. Nova has lost 3 out of their last 4 going into this one against good teams. Sure, St. John's on the road at Xavier, the same team Marquette lost to at Marquette, obviously. But it's that last game against Georgetown. Villanova's coming off of a home loss to the Georgetown Hoyas, a Georgetown team that's been very disappointing this season. Nova was 7.5-point favorites at home in that game, and they lost it outright to Georgetown, a team that was coming off a loss to DePaul in the game prior to that. So not a great loss for Nova. Obviously, this is a team that's led by Eric Dixon. That's literally their entire team. Dixon does everything for Villanova. He averages 25 points a night. He is going to be that guy that's going to try to get to the rack. I mean, hell, Dixon pretty much leads them in points every single game this season, except for one, the St. John's game. Every single game, Dixon is going to lead Nova in points. I think Marquette's able to beat this one-man team, though. I think they're able to do it pretty easily. When everyone in the starting lineup is on for the Golden Eagles, this is a good team. We're talking about Cam Jones. We're talking about David Joplin. We're talking about Stevie Mitchell, Chase Ross. It's an all-around very good starting 5 out of Marquette. And sure, again, the Xavier loss was not great, but as a whole, this is still a 7-1 team in Big East play this season. Their losses in non-conference play were Dayton on the road, and that's it. Oh, wait, no, Iowa State too. But going to Ames and losing is, obviously Iowa State top 5 team in the country still, I think. Top 10, definitely. So those losses aren't that bad. Marquette bounced back after their loss at home to Xavier last Saturday. They won on Tuesday on the road at Seton Hall. I get it, not the most impressive victory, but Marquette's found ways to win. And if you take away the Xavier game, Marquette's just way better at home, I think. I really think so. I know they only beat Georgetown by 8, Creighton by 8. But I do think they have potential to completely just run Villanova out the building, especially the way Nova's been playing. And the way Nova's been playing on the road, 12-point loss to St. John's, 6-point loss at Xavier. When they went to Creighton, they lost as well. I mean, this is a Nova team that doesn't play as well on the road as they do at home. I think Marquette's able to get them here. I think, again, Marquette is the all-around better team. Still currently ranked the number 10 team in the country are the Marquette Golden Eagles. Villanova, obviously a 12-8 team, a team that doesn't play as well on the road as they do at home, and a team that's just just honestly been struggling a lot. So if Marquette's able to shut down Dixon, I think they're set in this basketball game. Obviously, again, much easier said than done. But again, Nova has struggled mightily. And at some point, again, I feel like, sure, they've been playing somewhat competitive basketball games, but they went to St. John's and lost by 12. Who's to say Marquette playing in Milwaukee doesn't get them out of there by more than 10? I really think it's very possible. Marquette, again, the game that I always go back to when I think about Marquette at home this season is when they hosted Purdue. I get it, Purdue's been kind of shaky this season, obviously with their last game against Ohio State. Now, we will have a best bet with the Boilermakers game today in West Lafayette, but hell, when Marquette hosted Purdue, when Purdue was the number 6 team in the country, they beat them by 18 points. When Wisconsin was 11 in December and they came into Marquette beat them by 16 points, 14 points. So, I mean, I think Marquette's got the capability here. Again, if they can put everything together, which they haven't completely done, they haven't just, completely put a full game together against another team. I think, again, if Marquette gets back to full strength and gets back to the way they were playing in earlier this season, I think they should be fine in this one, especially with the way Villanova's been struggling. I do like Marquette in this one. I like the Golden Eagles to cover the 9.5 points at home. Again, the game being in Milwaukee makes all the difference. I think Marquette, again, should be fired up to win this one. Again, we just saw Nova go to St. John's, lose by 12 points. I think Marquette should be able to do the same exact thing, honestly. I get it against St. John's right now, currently the number 1 team in the conference, but I mean, hell, Marquette's right there. Marquette's 7-1, St. John's is 8-1. So again, I think Marquette's able to get Nova here. It all comes down to, again, them stopping Eric Dixon. I have no concern about Marquette being able to score the basketball. It's a matter of if they can stop Dixon on the other side. I think they will. Give me Marquette, especially a Nova team coming off that loss to Georgetown at home. I mean, morale's got to be at an all-time low for Nova. Now they got to go back on the road. They barely beat Providence prior to the Georgetown game as well. I think Marquette gets them, and I think really Marquette takes advantage of the way this Nova team's been playing recently. And I think the Golden Eagles just slap them at home. Give me Marquette in Milwaukee to beat the Villanova Wildcats. Let's move on to our second best bet of the video as we move to the Mid-American Conference, as we have the Toledo Rockets going on the road to Bowling Green. I know we're doing it again. I know. The last time we picked Toledo wasn't great, guys. I completely understand. That was a pitiful basketball game at Toledo. I get it. They can't do it 2 games in a row, though, right? They can't. Okay. The thing about Kent State, when Toledo went to Kent State, and I thought about picking Kent State, to beat Ohio later today. I don't like it. The Bobcats aren't bad, and the game is at Ohio, so I'm going to stay away from Kent State versus Ohio. This is the Mid-American game we're taking today. Yes, we are going with Toledo again after they let us down in the Kent State game. I understand that. But Kent State, again, they were a team that I always thought this season, if they could get it figured out, they'd be good. And obviously, we've said it time in and time out, preseason-wise, when we ranked the Mid-American Conference, we said, all right, Kent State and Akron, those are the squads. Now, no one saw Miami of Ohio reaching the lengths that they've gotten to this season, but again, originally, and I think a lot of people thought in the MAC this season it was going to be both Akron and Kent State. That's fine. Again, Toledo losing at home to Kent State by 19 points, it's very disappointing, don't get me wrong, but Toledo's only got 2 losses in the MAC this season, and it is those 2 teams we expected to be really good in the conference. It's the Zips on the road, and it's the Golden Flashes. They haven't played Miami of Ohio yet, but here's the thing, guys. They're going on the road to play a Bowling Green team that isn't that good. Bowling Green is 2-4 this year in the MAC, and their wins are West Michigan in Kalamazoo. The Broncos are not that good. And then Buffalo, who might be the worst team in the conference. Oh, wait, Northern Illinois exists. But still, they're beating bottom feeder teams in the conference. They've lost to Akron at home. They went to Ball State and got blown out in Indiana. They lost to Eastern Michigan, who's not all that crazy. They lost to Eastern Michigan at home. And they went to Miami of Ohio and obviously lost in Oxford. But I think Toledo's more than capable of winning this basketball game and covering the 2.5 points as well. I think, again, this is the perfect buy low spot for Toledo. It was a horrible game against Kent State, sure. But I think, again, if anything, it proves, all right, Kent State's better than I guess we thought they were. We thought Kent State wasn't as good as we thought they were. But maybe they actually are that good. Okay, I'm willing to say, again, Toledo has a bounce back game here. They have guys who can score. They just didn't show up in the Kent State game. We're talking about Sonny Wilson. We're talking about Sam Lewis, Javon Simmons, Isaiah Adams. There are guys on Toledo that can score. They just, again, had a bad game against the Golden Flashes. It is what it is. We've seen Bowling Green this year. They have not been all that impressive. Probably their best game that they played that I've watched this year was the Akron game. They were up for a while in that Akron game, and the Zips just came back and beat them. But again, their only wins in MAC play this year are in Kalamazoo against Western Michigan and then Buffalo. They lost to Ball State, losing to Eastern Michigan at home. I don't know. I think Toledo's able to get this team. I really think so. Again, I think this is just the perfect buy low spot for Toledo. I think it is. Again, Toledo's a 4-2 team in the MAC this season. Bowling Green's a 2-4 squad. Bowling Green's lost 3 of 4 going into this basketball game. I don't think they bounce back and get Toledo here. And I think Toledo just gets back on the right track. Again, I think it was just a poor performance against Kent State. And you look at the Akron loss. All right, it's Akron. They go on the road and lose to them, who obviously they look like the best team in the conference right now. We'll see again when they play Miami of Ohio. But I think we're fine with Toledo. I really think so. I just don't think they perform that badly. Again, if you want to compare common opponents, right? Both these teams went to Ball State. Toledo went there and beat them by 18 points. Bowling Green went there and lost by 22. Again, common opponents isn't always the best way to pick games, but I do think there are levels in the spot. I don't think Bowling Green is on the level of Toledo. I'm not saying Toledo's in that elite class of the Mid-American Conference, no, but I think they're in that mid-tier, and I really don't think Bowling Green is in the mid-tier yet. Again, their only victories are Western Michigan and Buffalo. I think we're fine with Toledo here. You can take them to cover the 2.5. You can take them on the money line. I think Toledo's got the all-around better scoring team. I think, again, I don't think they have 2 back-to-back piss poor shooting performances, and I don't think Bowling Green's able to shoot and score at the efficiency level of Kent State, because when Kent State is on, they're kind of like Liberty in all fairness. When Kent State's on, they are good and they can score. When they're not on, they'll have games where I think they had a game this year, I'm pretty sure, where they dropped 39 points. So I think Toledo's okay. I don't think Bowling Green's going to give that same output, obviously. It's the early game today. We flipped the order here. We should have put this one first, but it's fine. 3 p.m. game on CBS Sports Network. I like the Toledo Rockets to kick us off today with a win at Bowling Green, Ohio, winning the basketball game and covering the 2.5 points in the process as well. Next up, we move on to a game in the Horizon League. Milwaukee goes to Highland Heights, Kentucky to take on the Northern Kentucky Norse. I like the Milwaukee Panthers here. All right. Milwaukee is a 2.5 point favorite on the road, just basically the same exact odds. The money line's a little bit different, but essentially the same exact odds that we just got in our last game, obviously with Bowling Green and Toledo. Same kind of thing here. I think Milwaukee's just on a different level than Northern Kentucky. I'll be honest, I feel better about this one than I do the last game we were talking about in the MAC. I just think Milwaukee's the way better team. Guys, Northern Kentucky, 4-5 in conference this year. Again, the Horizon has played a lot more league games than any other conference so far this season. This is a Northern Kentucky team that's led by Trey Robinson. He averages 16 points tonight, and we have faded Northern Kentucky already this season. When they went to Cleveland State, I think they were 7.5 point dogs in that game, and we took Cleveland State, and the Vikings won the game by 18. It was a sweat-free bet that we took. But guys, the Norse haven't won a game this year, or haven't won a game since January 4th against Green Bay, who we know is horrible. Then prior to that, it's a victory on New Year's Day in overtime over the Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons. They've lost 4 in a row at Youngstown State, at home against Oakland, at Cleveland State, and then most recently, which is a loss that's not good, I'll be honest with you, a home loss to Wright State. That's a game that the Norse are expected to win, and they lost it by 8. For the Milwaukee Panthers, a team that has been very off and on this season, but when you look at their losses, I mean, they're not horrible losses. Robert Morris at home, you'd want them to win that game, but it's not as bad, again, as losing to Wright State. Hell, again, Milwaukee's last game, they go to Wright State and beat them by 16 points. Again, it's kind of the same thing we're talking about Toledo. You don't always want to, play, you look at their common opponents, but still, again, Milwaukee's able to beat a team like Wright State on the road like that. Northern Kentucky just hosted Wright State and lost the game. I think there are levels in the Horizon League. And I get it, Milwaukee lost at Purdue Fort Wayne, so you make the same case there. But what have you done recently is legitimately what you have to look at here. Milwaukee has been the much better team recently. And I get it. The game's in Northern Kentucky, but the better basketball team here is the Milwaukee Panthers. This is a team that is going to be led by Famous Folks, who averages 15.5 points a game. JaMychal Stillwell averages 14. Kentrell Pullian averages 13. AJ McKee going to give you 11.5 points a game. It's just a more efficient Milwaukee team. I don't think the game being in Highland Heights, Kentucky is going to play that much of a difference, if I'm being honest with you guys here. This is a Northern Kentucky team that started off the season ice cold, but they were playing some good teams. They're playing FSU, Purdue, Cincinnati, Nichols. They started the year 0-4, then dropped a game at Charleston. By the way, Charleston, what a disappointment yesterday. What can I say? What the hell? UNC Wilmington, I guess the Seahawks are just that legit, man. I don't know what to say. Northern Kentucky loses at Akron. They picked up some wins over IU Indianapolis, a good victory over Norfolk State, beats Detroit Mercy, South Carolina State, but then they enter again that Horizon League play, obviously, or really get into Horizon League play, and they started Horizon League play 4-1. They're now 4-5. Again, 4 straight losses. I don't expect them to break that 4-game losing streak against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just the better basketball team. Again, there are levels, right? Northern Kentucky, a 4-5 team in the conference, and yeah, Milwaukee's not, all that impressive, but 7-3. 14-7 record. I like Milwaukee a lot in this spot. They're the better shooting team, and they should be able to dominate on the glass as well. I mean, again, I think JaMychal Stillwell is the best big on this court. I think he is. I think he's going to be the best big man that's going to be playing in this basketball game. I don't think Kentucky's got a guy of the name of Keon Itaje. I don't, probably butchering that. He's a guy who's going to average 6 points a game and 6 boards a game, but he is the big for Northern Kentucky, the junior out of Nightingale, North Carolina. I'll just be honest, I do like what JaMychal Stillwell does more. I mean, Stillwell is a guy who averages 14 points a game. He's 6'8", same size as Keon, but he's a 6'8 junior, again, who scores 14 and gives you 11 boards a night. Ultimately, that's where I think the difference is made here. I don't think home court advantage makes the big difference in this one. Yes, Milwaukee's -2.5 point favorites here, but we're taking the road favorites. Again, and I think the difference here is the matchup that you're going to see between JaMychal Stillwell and Keon Itaje. I probably butchered Keon's last name, but it's just that simple. JaMychal's the way more efficient player, averaging 14 points a game, averaging 11 boards. Keon, again, is a guy who can get bullied underneath. He only scores 6 a night, only gets 6 boards a night. Again, JaMychal Stillwell is the better basketball player. Frame-wise, they're basically the same guy. Like, literally, they weigh the same amount of pounds. They weigh the same. They're both 6'9". Like, it's the same matchup here. It's just the difference is in skill, and JaMychal Stillwell is the better basketball player. So that's where I think Milwaukee takes over this game. They dominate that big matchup, and I do think they're the more efficient scoring team. So give me the Milwaukee Panthers to go to Highland Heights, Kentucky, and beat the Northern Kentucky Norse to improve to 8-3 this year in Horizon League play. Let's move on to our next game as we move to the Big Ten. We've got Big Ten the rest of the way here. The Big Ten's either been really good to us or really bad to us this season. There's no in-betweens. Recently, it hasn't been the best to us, but let's go to Fox for the Purdue Boilermakers, who are still ranked 11th in the country, to take on the number 21 ranked Michigan Wolverines. I like Purdue. It's a get-back spot. That's all it is. It's a get-right spot at home against Michigan. Against the Michigan team who lost to Minnesota on the road. Okay, that's all I need to hear. Michigan went to Minnesota and lost. How are they going to deal with West Lafayette? That's all you need to know. I get it. Purdue's coming off a loss against Ohio State. It's a bad loss. But when you really think about it, guys, is Purdue losing back-to-back basketball games at home? Don't see it. They've got this game, and they got a whole week to prepare for their in-state rivals from Bloomington. Obviously, we're talking about Mike Woodson and the Indiana Hoosiers. Mike Woodson needs to be fired. But again, all the focus right now is on Michigan. I think Purdue's the better basketball team. The Ohio State game was bad. Again, it's the same thing we were talking about at Kent State. It's a buy low spot. It's all this is. Guys, if Purdue didn't lose to Ohio State, they'd be like 8.5, 9.5 favorites. Very similar to that Nova game we talked about earlier against Marquette. That's where Purdue would be, I think. Maybe 7.5, 8.5. That's the type of line they get. I think they'll be okay in this spot against Michigan. Again, I like Trey Kaufman-Renn a lot. He's an all-around very good basketball player. You still, of course, you bring back Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer as well. Those are the big three essentially for Purdue. But again, it's Trey Kaufman-Renn who does it all for the Boilermakers. Michigan, again, a good team. 6-1 in conference play. Purdue is 7-2. Obviously, Purdue's losses being that game against Ohio State, then earlier this year on the road at Penn State, which is just a weird loss. Michigan, of course, the one loss, they're 6-1, but the one loss is in Minneapolis against those damn Golden Gophers who have just been pitiful this season. But no, Minnesota's been better. Minnesota's been a lot better. I can't hate. They're 2-6 now in conference play, and they're coming off a victory over Iowa. I wanted to pick Iowa at home today against Penn State, but I'm just not that confident in it. So we're going to go to a different Big Ten game later. There's only one other one, and it's in Seattle, Washington. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, the Michigan loss to Minnesota is odd. Their other road wins this year in Big Ten play are Wisconsin. It's a good win. USC and UCLA. Again, those teams are very up and down, and we're going to get to that roller coaster in a little bit, obviously, with the UCLA Bruins. But I do think Minnesota's able to win it. I think so. Again, don't get me wrong. I think Purdue's able to win this game, not Minnesota. definitely not the Golden Gophers. I think Purdue's able to beat Michigan at home here. Michigan's got good players, don't get me wrong. You get Golden, you got Trey Donaldson, Danny Wolf. Like, there are some good players on the Michigan Wolverines. I just think Purdue's able to beat them here, and I think Trey Kaufman-Renn's going to be able to have a good game. I get it. Golden is a difference maker down there. He is, and we'll see how Purdue obviously adjusts. Because Kaufman-Renn again, and you got Kaufman-Renn, who's usually playing the biggest, playing a big role underneath for Purdue. He's able to dominate, get to the rack, obviously. I think Purdue's going to be fine in the spot. I just don't think Purdue loses back-to-back games at home. So with that being said, again, Purdue in this game are 4.5-point favorites. That's fine. I'd expect them to kind of run away with this one. Again, I think the Ohio State game, it is what it is. It was a bad game for them. It's the first game Purdue has lost in 2025. We cannot forget what Purdue has done to teams at home this season, with the exception of the Ohio State loss, right? I mean, hell, they go to Eugene and beat Oregon. We picked them for that game, right? But when they hosted Nebraska, I get it. The Huskers haven't been great this season. It's not the Tominaga magic from last year, but hell, they beat Nebraska 104-68 just a couple weeks ago. Northwestern, who's shown out recently, obviously coming back from behind and beating Indiana the other day. They beat the Wildcats 79-61. Like, Purdue's able to win games at home. I do worry about them on the road sometimes, at Penn State, at Marquette. I do, but hell, again, they just show that they can go to Eugene and win. Again, it's just that's how the Big Ten works, man. That you can, teams get caught. It's like the SEC. There are all these teams in the Big Ten for the most part are good. So it is what it is. Ohio State caught them. I don't think Purdue drops back to back. I'm not saying Michigan's a bad team, but again, the last time we saw Michigan in a road environment, they were losing in overtime to the Golden Gophers. I think Purdue should be able to get them. This should be a motivated Purdue team. It's the only game they have to play for an entire week, and then you get Indiana. I just don't think the Boilermakers lose back-to-back in West Lafayette. It can be Purdue at home to win and cover the 4.5 points against the Michigan Wolverines. We close the night now, of course, in the Big Ten. This is just odd. This is a Big Ten game, and obviously 2 Pac-12 schools, as we've got the UCLA Bruins going to Seattle, Washington, to the Alaskan Airlines Arena to take on the Washington Huskies. Give me the Bruins here. We're just relying on the fact Washington's not very good. We just are. Their last win in Big Ten play was over Maryland. It is what it is. That was back on January 2nd. What have you done since? I get it. Washington's only played ranked teams since, but lost Illinois at home, lost at Michigan State, lost at Michigan, lost at home against Purdue, and then lost at Oregon. That's a lot of losing. I don't think Osabor is able to be the best player on a winning basketball team, at least a consistently winning basketball team. And that might be harsh, but I do think it's the truth. I don't think Osabor himself can lead Washington to victory. Because once you get past great Osabor, what does this team have? Zoom Diallo has shown, he has shown spots this season where he's been really good. Tyler Harris at points as well, obviously shooting the basketball. But it's just not enough. There's not enough consistent play on this team. Again, when you look at what Washington is, it is all Osabor, obviously. I mean, hell, Osabor leads the team in points, leads them in rebounds, leads them in assists, he leads them in steals. Obviously, Osabor is the entire team. If you take him away, I really don't think Washington's that good. And obviously, they're not that good when Osabor is just, dominating. And here's the thing. UCLA is going to have the matchup, and I think they can win the matchup here. With Tyler Villanova. I think they can win the matchup. I really think so. I mean, Tyler is the bigger player. Again, he's 6'9" compared to Osabor 6'8", but I would say Villanova's better than great Osabor. I think so. I think he's the better post player. I get Osabor, again, he'll do his thing where he backs you down. I think UCLA should be fine in this spot. It's not like they have weak bigs that can't deal with Osabor. So if you're able to shut Osabor down, then you force the shooting out the other guys. Again, you can't rely on Zoom Diallo to shoot. So then you're looking at guys like Tyler Harris. You're looking at Makai Mason. And I don't really think UW, again, I don't think that's a winning formula. And I get it. UCLA this season, hasn't been the best team, obviously. Like, Sebastian Mack hasn't been great this season. Dylan Andrews, I'll say it's been a disappointment. I think we're all thinking it. Lazar Stefanovic, a guy who's been playing, collegiate ball for a little bit here, hasn't been that good this season, averaging 5 points. Like, so the guys that UCLA brought back from last season haven't really been, again, the stars this year. I mean, hell, UCLA out of nowhere got 22 points out of Adas Mara. We'll see. Again, Mara got 21 minutes in the Wisconsin game. They're calling him Adas Mara. This is a guy, again, who was averaging about 6 minutes a game. He plays 21 in the Wisconsin win, scores 22 points in 21 minutes, goes 100% from the field. I don't know. We'll see what impact Mara has on this basketball game, but Hell, they put Mara on Osabor, and then you let Bilodeau just be off of him. We'll see. Again, Mara is huge. He's 7'3". I'm interested to see how he plays in the post with Osabor, because I don't know if he's as physically strong as Osabor is, but Mara is a monster. He's 7'3", 7'4". He's a Spanish-born player, and he got the most run of his entire career in that win over Wisconsin. So we'll see. Again, Mara led their team in points in the last game. I think that's got to be an interesting wrinkle to this basketball game, because again, what does UCLA have with the sophomore out of Spain? And as a whole, yes, again, UCLA has been disappointing with guys like Andrews, with guys like Sebastian Mack, sure, but again, there is just talent all around this team, and there's guys who can hit shots. I don't think the same thing, is there for Washington. I don't rely on Zoom Diallo. Obviously, you're not going to rely on him to shoot. I mean, he's going to drive, obviously, but Tyler Harris, again, good shooter. I'll give you Tyler Harris. But other than that, I mean, you get Makai Mason and just like, I don't know. I don't like what Washington does. They are so reliant on great Osabor. And if you're able to shut him down, which I anticipate UCLA being able to do, UW's just mid. Even not even that, they're just not good. Yes, Osabor again, and even when Osabor has games, he's led their team in points the last 3 games, 23, 28, 20, and they haven't covered this line in any of those games. And I get it, they're playing Michigan, they're playing Purdue, they're playing Oregon, but still, I think UCLA is able to get this one done, and the Bruins have been playing better basketball recently. They started Big Ten play really cold, but now, hell, they're 4-4 after back-to-back victories at UCLA against Iowa and against Wisconsin, a ranked Wisconsin team. They beat them by 2. And now, again, if there was ever a spot where, okay, you got to go on the road, you got to go on a road trip, well, these are the 2 road games that you want out of UCLA in the Big Ten right now. Going to Washington and playing this crappy Huskies team, and then going to USC just, 20 minutes away. Well, traffic in Los Angeles probably like 35, but still, it's right there against USC. So I think this is a really great spot for UCLA. They could easily be 6-4 in 2 games before they got to host Oregon, Michigan State, and Penn State. But hell, if they're able to take 2 out of those, that homestand, I mean, UCLA is back in business this year. And again, we'll see. I'm very interested to see what role Adai Mara plays in this basketball game. We'll see if they put him against Osabor. I mean, I'd assume they're going to have to. And we'll see. I like UCLA a lot in this spot. I think they should run away with it. Again, I don't think UW's good at all. Give me UCLA on the road, -5.5. The way they've been playing, they blew out Iowa. They were competitive and beat Wisconsin at home. Yeah, I like the Bruins in this spot. Give me UCLA at home, on the road in Seattle to go there. 8 o'clock game late at night. I don't care. Give me UCLA -5.5 in Seattle against the Washington Huskies. So folks, thank you all for watching our 5 best bets for college basketball here on January 24th. If you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Make sure to, again, like if you want 10 best bets for tomorrow's video, obviously on Saturday, 100 likes, and we'll get that one for you tomorrow morning. So folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.